Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here. 8:31 a.m. EST. Had some trouble getting everything started, but we are here and we're live. And price went down to 78K, like we said. It's just been bearish, 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 and I'm not sure it's done. Let's take a look at the charts. Let's see if this, in fact, were the bottom, or might be the bottom. Let's jam out. I can tell you the higher time frame is bearish, but for the moment, we're kind of at a point where price could at least go sideways, but I'm going to go ahead and say that there's a decent probability that price is going to continue down. So what might it look like, right? What might it look like? Let's remove our prior predictions here just to make the chart a little bit clearer. I'd say that the most likely scenarios are going to be what we're seeing right now, a very obvious pullback here to about 82,000. What we have is a little bit of structure that got built on the way down. So let's illustrate this. We got the Bitcoin price heading down to there and bouncing right there, and of course coming down. Well, what commonly happens in a scenario like this, excuse me, is where price will come back and visit this area right here, right where the prior pivot is. And that's a very common thing, and it's a very likely thing. We will see, we shall see, as they say. Give me a second here. Okay. Wow. Okay. So let me undo that. Sorry, I had another alert go off here. Got to clean up some stuff on another chart. So, yeah. So I think that's what's probably going to happen right now is at least a move to 82K, and then it'll probably bounce down, or it may dig into this prior area of liquidity that was created basically between here and here, between 82,000 and 87,000. Price may dig a little deeper into this area. If I had to call out really where I think it's going to go, I'd say it's either going to bounce right at 82 and come down. So it may look just like I drew a second ago, where price kind of comes up here and then heads down to probably 74,000, or does a bunch of stuff in between. But like I said, more than likely at least a rejection at about 82,000. Or what may happen is it may dig into this area from 82 to 88 just to grab, or 87, just to grab some liquidity anywhere in this area. And to refine where that might be, we have some tools that we can use. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, it's, if anything, the most likely place for price to go, besides just bouncing at 82, rejecting, might be like up to 84.5, 84.6. That could happen. There's a little liquidity up there where price might want to go. We can also take a look at the liquidity nodes just to see where the liquidations are on the chart, which is where a lot of the exchanges will push price, because they can make a lot of money by pushing price into these liquidity nodes. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Let's see here. Bitcoin. And refresh. So 82.2. So right now, I would say price is probably just going to head up to 82,000 and do its thing up there. Let's see here. Spin it to win it. Yeah, this is a great program here, the Kingfisher. Go check that out. There's a link in the description. But as I said before, price may continue up past 82, but there's a very high probability the price will go up to 82, because that is where a lot of those liquidations are sitting. Very, very clearly sitting right there at 82. So, I mean, price is right there. We're already at 81.3. But there's always a little bit of money to be made by, lower time frame trading. If you do such a thing, one could, scalp on the way up. But at this point, I'd say the move's almost already made. The time to do all that would have been before. And we did just have some news come out. Let's see what we had. The core PCE price index. So that's basically an inflation metric, and it came out as a nothing burger. It came out as expected, so that shouldn't be affecting price too much on the Bitcoin chart. It did cause a little bit of a move over on the Euro chart, and we will jump into Forex, whether it be here and now or whether it be in the private live lab. So let's see if we got any questions from the audience. So far, we have none, and that's fine. Let's take a look at Solana. Solana recovering along with Bitcoin, and I mean recovering like, just temporarily. What I'm noticing though is that the altcoins are doing relatively well in this blood compared to some other situations, and some are, attributing that to the bull market's not over and this is just temporary, and those statements may be true. Just the same, you can see my prediction of Solana heading down to this level so far hasn't been hit yet. I did think we'd see 120. We saw 125. It came real close. So that said, if Bitcoin does continue to plow down, then there's a good chance we will see some lower Solana. So when Bitcoin does look like it's done falling, then I will look to get back into Solana at that time. As it stands, Solana does look like it's ready to actually plow upwards, at least a little bit. But I think it'll be, again, another temporary move. I think you'll see Solana go, I mean, it could go as high as, 160. Although I think the most likely place would be probably 150, 147, really. It could go as high as, 160. But this is a strong move at the moment, this move up to 140. That's a good, strong little push on the 3-hour chart on the swing trading time frames. And for the moment, it does look like it will continue up, but I think it's going to run into trouble at about 145. You're probably going to see rejection around that time. And the current candle is pretty long, so there's a good chance it might even reject at 143. So that's Solana. We're going to start looking at Litecoin, that old coin that no one cares about anymore. This is actually a pretty decent coin to trade, but there's some interesting things going on. And so I think that anytime you have a coin that has a little bit of predictable nature for trading, it's worth a look. And remember, we're traders here, right? So we're interested in the capability to enter and exit a trade. Of course, what I do with my wins is I rotate them into assets that I like, such as Solana or Bitcoin or gold or things like that. But if I find a crypto that looks like it's tradable, then I will pay attention to it. So we are going to be paying attention to Litecoin from here on out. And if you take a look at it on a higher time frame, what's really interesting, unlike Bitcoin or anything else, it's not melting down. Now, it's spent the last several years melting down. I mean, Litecoin really hasn't done much for a very long time, but we are going to take a look at it. And one of the reasons I want to take a look at it is because it's an extremely predictable range. There might be some other reasons too, but we're not going to talk about that right now. So I would say, despite everything else going on in the market, might be a decent time to take a look at some range trades with this. Very, very clear bounces off of 92, 95 on the bottom and about 130, 140 on the top. Catch one of those, throw up a range trade. Nice way to make money. And there's some other items there too. We're going to move on over to the indices. The indices are continuing to plow down. My prediction that I made is pretty much perfect here. If you take a look at that, I predicted this move going back to Sunday. We are now on Friday. I predicted that by the end of the week, the SP 500 would go down to 5860. This is nearly a perfect prediction. This is very, very, just freaking amazing, man. All I can say is I'm impressing myself right now. I'm not sure my other indices, index predictions did quite as well, but this is an extremely good prediction right here. The path that I draw here isn't what's important, really. It kind of is, but what's more important is where price ends. If price crosses the path of my prediction, that's a pretty good indication that I know what I'm talking about. But long story short, it's right here. I mean, it was at the end of Thursday that price touched my target for Friday. So this is killer. I know what I'm doing, people. Seriously, I know what I'm doing. You all need to start watching this. Watch this video. I know what I'm talking about. See this one here, the Dow was more bullish than I expected. I have a contingency play and it followed my contingency play perfectly. I did think it would sink lower by Friday, but it did not do that. But it went right along that contingency, and I have those because the algos say that that can happen. And if you take a look at Nasdaq, it even went lower than I thought. I thought it would head down to 20,900, but it broke below what is a pretty key area here. Although you'll notice that there is a support here going back here to what is this, January 13th, and it's right, it's touching that support right there. So if price breaks below that, there's plenty of supports that it could catch on the way down, but I'd say the most likely area for price to go down to is going to be 19,900 on the Nasdaq. And Nasdaq, or QQQ if you will, is one to watch because Bitcoin is going to trade similar to the Nasdaq on the short term. Long term, not so much, but in the kind of the day to day, week to week, Nasdaq movements or SP 500 movements, between the two of those, you get a good idea of what Bitcoin might do. So again, I do know what I'm doing here. You can see these predictions are playing out and even being surpassed, right? So come on over to algofactory.tech. We teach people how to do a lot of things. Among them, we teach people how to predict where the market is going to go in the future. And when you do have the capability to do that, you can extract money from the markets. You can literally take money out of these markets as long as you can consistently predict where price is going to go. It doesn't mean you have to be right every time, right? But as long as you're more right than you are wrong, as long as you're right more often than you're wrong, you can pull money out of these markets. It's a way to make money. And we're going to teach you how to develop your own trading method, your own capability to do this, right? So that's what we do. We love doing it. We're at algofactory.tech. Come on over, check us out. And what was I going to say? Oh, I lost it. Oh, yeah. Never forget.
Join us or die.